All right. Hello, everyone. Sorry for the delay. Had some issues on Zoom's end, but I think we got them figured out, as I can see a number of you in the webinar today. We've got Christi Billquist back with us, Director of Operations for Unitas Dental, and she'll be discussing negotiating higher PPO reimbursements. A couple of reminders, if you have any questions, please type them into the Q&A section of your control panel, and we'll answer them at the end of the webinar. We are not offering CE credit for viewing or attending this presentation live or on demand. And Unitas Dental and Henry Schein's Dental Business Institute are today's sponsors. So with that, I will throw it over to Christi.
Well, thank you so much, Adam, and it's a pleasure to be with you all today. Thanks for hanging on during our technical difficulties, and way to go, Adam, for getting it figured out, because if it was on me, we probably would just have to give up. So grateful that he was able to get that figured out so that we can get going today. So I'm going to be going through a lot of material, and some of it might be new and some of it you may already have some basic understanding of. And in the hopes of getting through everything, I might go through it a little quickly, but just know we're going to do a little bit of Q&A at the end. And then we're also going to explain how you can set up a free consultation with Unitas if that's something that you're interested in. So hopefully we'll get your questions answered, but feel free to jot them down to make sure that we get everything addressed that you came here to learn today. So by way of introduction, like Adam said, I am the Director of Operations. I've been with Unitas for almost 10 years. We've been helping dental practices since 2011. We are in all 50 states, which is a lot of fun, especially when you have Blue Cross Blue Shield and Delta that operate differently in every state. But luckily, it gives us a really good scope of the nationwide insurance industry. We currently have, it's almost close to 1,300 clients actually right now, dental practices, and close to 2,500 providers that we represent at any given time. We are located in Mesa, Arizona, which is a suburb of Phoenix. And we have over 45 PPO insurance experts that work here at Unitas. And it's probably even more than that by now. We just keep growing. So this is some of our great staff, owners, executive members, and doers here at Unitas here. So what we're going to cover today is some key strategies if you are considering trying to increase and negotiate your PPO reimbursements. So we want you to understand your current participation and your current fees. And then we're going to talk about 6 top PPO negotiation tactics. And then finally, how to maximize your negotiation opportunities. So by the end of the webinar today, my goal is that you will understand that the only way to increase your PPO reimbursement and make more profit each year is by following the step-by-step process in the PPO negotiation quick start guide. So we're going to spoon feed it to you. We're going to give you everything you need, that if you're going to make the effort to negotiate your PPOs, if you go about it this way, then that's your highest chance of success, is doing it in a methodical way. So anybody right now can go to ppoguide.com and download this free quick start guide. And we're going to be going through everything that's included in that. But anybody can get this for free, again, by going to ppoguide.com. All right, so let's talk about our first point. It's understanding PPO participation and current reimbursement. So a lot of this you may know, some of it might be a surprise to you. Sometimes when people learn it for the first time, they get upset and say, "Is this even legal?" And it is legal. It's part of your insurance contract. But just so as I'm using vocabulary, we're all on the same page. We're going to talk about making sure that you understand your in-network participation and why it's important to know what your current fee schedules are. So we're going to teach you how to discover and map out your PPO participation, receive your actual fee schedules, not just rely on what's in your practice management software or your Dentrix, and then compare and repair UCR versus reimbursement discrepancies. So again, this is just kind of overview of PPO participation, and when we use certain vocabulary that you know what we're talking about. So we're going to dissect what we mean by direct contracts, by PPO to PPO leasing and umbrella networking. And then we're going to teach you the best way to get your most current fee schedule and how to analyze that data that you are collecting. So when we say direct contract, that means that you as a provider have signed a contract with MetLife and that you are reimbursed on MetLife patients on a MetLife fee schedule. And so they'll send you a contract to re-credential every 3 years. And that is a direct relationship that you have with MetLife. So then there's also PPO to PPO leasing. So a lot of our insurance companies, we've noticed an uptick in joining the leasing game. So I'll use Aetna as an example because for years, Aetna just had a leasing relationship with Sun Life. Well, recently they said no more Sun Life. We're going to keep anybody who's already in that relationship, but no more Sun Life. But we are going to start entering into new reciprocal leasing agreements with Guardian, with Emeritus, and with Principal. So that means if I'm a provider that's contracted with only Aetna, but I'm not contracted with, let's say, Emeritus, then when I sign that contract with Principal's going to send my information over to Guardian. Aetna's going to send, if I sign a contract with Aetna, Aetna's going to send that information to Guardian, Emeritus, and Principal. They're going to receive that information and say, do I already have this doctor in network? And if the answer is no, they're going to add them in network under the Aetna relationship. Or they might say, I do, but these fees are lower with Aetna. So I want to access this provider through this Aetna contract. So now you still send your claims to Principal, to Emeritus, to Guardian. You still send your claims to them and they still pay them, but they are going to process in network under your Aetna contract. So that's PPO to PPO leasing. We see it big time with United Concordia. They're a big one. Like I said, Aetna's building up. Sun Life leases to several. Principal and Emeritus lease to a ton. So a lot of times there's multiple ways that you can be in network with a PPO because PPOs lease to each other. So then the other type that probably affects all of you if you're with a network umbrella company is your Carrington, your Zealous, Connection, Dynamax. These are network umbrella companies. So they don't have card-carrying insured members. You're never going to have a Dentamax patient show up at your door. What they do is contract you on a fee schedule and then lease you to the providers in their network. So same scenario as Aetna. When you contract with them, they're going to send their information to all the PPOs that lease from them. They'll receive that information for Dr. Jones and say, do I already have Dr. Jones in network? No. Or can I access them through this umbrella on lower fees? And then they'll put that provider in network through that umbrella relationship. So just keep in mind that with some of these PPOs, there are multiple ways that you can be in network. And in some states with Blue Cross Blue Shield, there's multiple ways that you can be in network through third parties, either another PPO or under a network umbrella. And yes, it is legal. It's in the contract that says that when you sign that direct contract, that you're agreeing to be leased. Now, that doesn't mean you're stuck with that. There are some options for opting out of that leasing arrangement, but just be aware that if you're going to start negotiating and analyzing your in-network participation, it's super important to understand how you are in network. Is it through a direct contract? Are you in network through another PPO like Aetna or United Concordia? Or are you in network through an umbrella like Zealous, like Carrington? So it can really look like this for you because there are all kinds of different options and it can drive you crazy. So the first place to start is getting your actual fee schedules. The only fee schedules that you need to gather are those PPOs that you are actually directly contracted with. So if you see Guardian under Aetna, You don't call Guardian for your fee schedule. You call Aetna because they're leasing you through that mothership, which is Aetna, and that's the fee schedule that you want to gather. So there's a few different ways that you can get your fee schedule. You can call provider relations. Sometimes you can check your portal, and sometimes they're in there, or you can email them and request your current fee schedules per doctor, per location. So yes, they can be different. And in this webinar, we're going to provide you with a contact list, and it's going to have the emails and phone numbers for provider relations. So it's an easy cheat sheet to know right where to reach out and request that information. And then having those fee schedules is the first battle. The second part is making sure that what you have in your practice management software is your most up-to-date 2021 fee schedule reflecting current ADA codes, and that everything is current and up to date. There's a reason why we don't have our clients print out what's in their practice management software and send it to us. That would certainly make our jobs so much easier, but we actually do this exact step is we reach out to the insurance companies and the network umbrellas, and we get your exact current fee schedule because we want to know exactly what we're working with there. So a little bit later on in the webinar, we're also going to talk to you about reviewing your utilization and making sure that you have a good grasp on what your top grossing codes are, so you know which codes to focus on in your practice. So we're going to provide you with a spreadsheet that you can use if you want to really dial in to the codes that are most important to you. We recommend that you narrow it down to 20 to 35 codes. If you're a specialist, that's probably a smaller list. But you're going to want to narrow it down so that obviously you're not looking at pages and pages of data, but that you are focusing in on the data that is applicable to your practice. So you'll also want to compare that to your current UCR or your office fee. No UCR should be at or below any of your fee schedules. So what we mean by that is there needs to be a healthy gap between your fee schedules and what your UCR is. Sometimes we run into people who say, well, my fees are just my Delta Premier fees. No, wrong answer. You don't want any of your UCR fees to match what your insurance reimbursements are. There should be a gap between insurance reimbursements and what you're charging. Because UCR fees can correlate with higher reimbursements. Sometimes in the negotiation process, there will be a form that you'll need to fill out, or you'll need to provide your UCRs to the insurance company. So the healthier those fees are, and that you're already taking a discount, is going to make you more successful in negotiations. So again, we want you to have all the information that you need to strategically go into negotiations, and it's free. Anybody on this webinar can get it by going to PPOguide.com. All right, so we're going to move on to 6 top PPO negotiation tactics. So we want to make sure that you're not wasting time on the wrong procedures, and we want to approach the PPO negotiation process and compare offers received from PPOs. So going back to what we were talking about before in figuring out what the most important codes for your practice are, a good way to do that is to download a 12-month production summary. And that's going to list every code you've billed out in the last 12 months, how many of them you did, and what your revenue was off of that code. So that helps you really narrow it down, because you might think you know what's the most important code, but actually looking at real numbers can help you narrow down your number 1, your number 2, your number 3, that sort of thing, so that when you're comparing fee schedules and options for participation, again, you're zeroing in on the codes that are most important to you by the amount of revenue that you bring in with that code, and also with the number of times that you do that code. So we recommend that you sort them in a spreadsheet. Again, starting with your highest grossing codes and breaking it down to 20 to 35 procedures. And then go ahead and take your fee schedules that you've collected and put the data in from there. So on a 120, you're going to want to put in that spreadsheet what you're getting from Aetna, what you're getting from Blue Cross Blue Shield, from Cigna, and all across. And then move on to your next code and put in the amount that you're getting from each of your PPOs so that you can do a comparison. Okay, so once you've kind of done your homework and you have an idea of where you're at fee schedule wise, then you're in a better position to start that negotiation process. So you'll want to reach out again to provider relations and request a fee schedule increase. And that means different things to different PPOs. So some of them, they just call it a review. They're not going to guarantee you an increase. They're just going to say, Cigna, for example, we will, if we've changed your fee schedule, we will consider another change in 2 years, but not before. So what you want to do is reach out and request through whatever process they have to request a fee review or fee schedule increase. So again, this is where you want to understand your actual PPO participation, because you don't want to waste your time or theirs by going to Guardian and asking for your fee schedule if you are Guardian under Aetna. And an easy way to figure that out is calling them and asking them how you're in network, like we talked about before, or it's always on your EOB. So it'll say, if you are Guardian under Aetna, the EOB is going to say this is processed on your Aetna fee schedule. So make sure you're not wasting any time by going to any company you are not directly contracted with. You're going to just negotiate with the PPOs that you actually have an existing contract to negotiate. So again, focusing on your top 20 to 35 procedures, spread everything in the spreadsheet so that you know what codes are important to you, so that when you get a response back from the insurance company, that you know that, let's say, so I'll use United Healthcare for an example. They're changing their fee schedules. They went from a T, like you would be on T15 or T5 or T2. They've changed their fee schedules to N fee schedules. And so they're different. So if we have an office that's trying to negotiate with United Healthcare, they're on a T fee schedule, United Healthcare might come back with an N fee schedule because that's what they're using now. So you want to plug those numbers into that spreadsheet, of course, focusing on the codes you care about, and notice if there's any fees that go down along with certain codes that go up. Because the last thing you want to do is just take for granted that these insurance companies have generated a fee schedule where all the fees go up. You want to make sure, especially on your important fees, on your important codes, that if any fees are going down, that the increases on the other codes are going to outweigh lowering those other procedures. So a $100 procedure increase might be outweighed by a $5 procedure decrease, depending on their frequency. And again, that's why it's super important for you to know and understand and not just make an assumption about how much of a code you're actually doing. And then this step is really important because we know insurance companies make mistakes. Provider relations is over here negotiating, but then you have, in some instances, a completely different system over here in claims. Sometimes they don't talk to each other properly. So let's say you've negotiated an increase with Cigna, then and they give you an effective date of September 1st. You're going to want to keep an eye on claims that roll in with the date of service after September 1st and make sure that the claims end got the message with the new fee schedule and that those claims are processing correctly. Because whenever we've caught that not happening, guess what? They don't go back and reprocess claims. They just say, oops, okay, well, I guess now it's effective November 1st, whenever they fix the error. So it's really important not to just make an assumption that if you've received an increase and you've signed off on it and they've given you an effective date, that everything in their system is good to go. Because like I said, it's, so too bad, so sad if they don't implement that increase. And then just understand too, when you sign an increase and accept a new fee schedule, it can take 30 to 90 days to go into effect. So make sure you get an effective date in writing from the PPO so that you know to start watching those claims and auditing them when they start coming in with the date of service after the new schedule is supposed to be effective. But again, don't be surprised if a delay tactic is, and those new fees are effective in 90 days. But they should tell you. And again, you'll want to make sure that's in writing and audit to make sure you're actually getting it. So here's just another plug for our free guide for you to download by just going to ppoguide.com. All right. Step number 3, how to maximize your negotiation opportunities. So essentially, this is kind of the plug to outsource to a third party. Not trying to sell you on anything, but just make sure that you understand that insurance companies have made this so complicated that it's almost impossible for even the best office manager, the most involved doctor to understand PPO participation and what your options are, so that you're not being taken advantage of and getting paid under low fee schedules in those leasing arrangements, and understanding that there are options for you on how you are a network with a lot of the PPOs. So we want to make sure that your fees, that what you're getting offered from these insurance companies are competitive for your area. You're not allowed to talk about fees with other doctors. And while our professional stance with the insurance companies is we handle each office in a vacuum, I can't go to Aetna and say, I know what you pay Dr. Jones down the street, so you need to give those same fees to Dr. Smith. We can't do that either, and neither can you. So never mention that you know so-and-so is getting more than me, because you're not allowed to share that information. So just keep it focused on your practice. But obviously, we have a global view of what insurance companies are paying. And so we know if what they're offering is competitive or if there is something better. And then to minimize optimization risks and maximize benefits. This is a huge one because insurance companies easily take advantage of providers by putting them in network under lower paying fee schedules. And so you don't know that if you try and block this one, that there's 4 other ways that they can get you, and they're still going to look for the lowest one. So you've got to block all those to get to the highest one. So it's almost impossible with new relationships popping up all the time. Just recently, United Healthcare and Sun Life announced that there's going to be a new leasing arrangement there. So optimization, and that just means moving how you are in network to the highest option possible, whether that's a direct contract or if that's through a third party, another PPO or a network umbrella. And then how to calculate a return on your investment. So what we don't want is you to get locked into a low fee schedule. So if you're trying to negotiate on your own and you're already on a low fee schedule and they give you just a meager bump, maybe there's more to be had there. So we don't want you to get locked into that low fee schedule for 2 years. And we especially see this with startup practices because unless they use a service like us, you don't really know that you can negotiate those initial fee schedules or optimize how you're in network under something better. So we don't want you to get locked into a mediocre fee for 2 years because typically the PPOs that negotiate will do a fee review every 2 years. And again, we have the data and the perspective to be able to determine how competitive those fee offers are for your area. And not only that, but the insurance companies know that we know. We also have high-level or dedicated insurance contacts that some practices wouldn't have access to otherwise. We can negotiate on your behalf, and we've done that for thousands of practices nationwide. We also have a highly trained team with years of experience and a proven track record of PPO negotiation and optimization success. So, like I said, the big thing that we can help you with is evaluate your current participation. Are you on direct contracts? Are you with third parties? What fee schedules are you on? And are your doctors participating differently? We get this one a lot. If you've got 3, 4, even 2 providers at your practice, they can easily be participating differently. So part of what we do is clean that up too and figure out what is our best option, and let's move all the providers to that same option. So many PPOs have multiple paths to participation. Unitas has helped thousands of practices to optimize their participation, leading to higher reimbursements. And we know when shifting participation, the risks involved, the timelines, what you get and what you don't get. Because it's not that the insurance companies won't tell you this, it's that they don't understand it on a big enough level to explain to you what if you are deciding that you're going to term this PPO to move it over onto a network umbrella. Each of them only really understand their part of it. And so you need somebody that kind of understands both aspects of it so that you know and are able to make educated decisions and not relying on partial, incomplete, or incorrect information from the insurance companies. So again, optimization opportunities are really where it's at. Negotiations, you can get, anywhere from 2, 10, in extreme cases, maybe 15%, but optimization is really where you get a bigger return on your investment. So also, if you outsource to a third party, we're going to make sure that you understand if you're willing to make that initial investment with us, that at the end of that project, that you know the return that you've gotten on your investment. So if you schedule a free consultation with us, we're going to do this really simple, basic tool that's just going to give you an indication to see if you are a good fit for our service. So let's say your practice does $1 million in annual production, and 50% of your patients are with negotiable PPOs. So essentially that means not Delta and not your cash patients. But if you have 50% of your practice that is on PPOs that tend to negotiate or can be optimized, then obviously that negotiable production is 500,000. So this is just showing you that's the average. Low is 20 and high is 90. And obviously we've have had many that are much higher than that. So here's just a few case studies. We always get, well, what kind of ROI can I expect? And honestly, it depends how you come to us and then what decisions you make. Some people are adverse to optimization and they just want to stick with direct contracts, and that's totally fine. But your ROI is going to be lower than if you're willing to try some of the optimization. So again, it just kind of depends on you. But in this instance, we have from Dr. Morgan in North Carolina, we were able to negotiate 5 direct contracts. And then we shifted participation for 2 PPOs. And so their ROI was $64,000. And again, this is built, it's year after year. And so Dr. Baker in Texas, same thing. We did 5 negotiated contracts. We optimized 3 PPOs and their ROI was $79,000. Dr. Young in Florida, 7 contracts, 4 optimizations, and well over $100,000. And these are super conservative if you only have one provider or if you have more providers in your practice, because obviously your production is quite a bit more. So I know I kind of talked fast and we went through a lot. We got a little bit of a late start, but I know some of you might be feeling like this right now, that it's just information overload. But I wanted to fit in as much in as I could, because I know what your day is going to look like after this or tomorrow. You're going to be back busily treating patients, scheduling appointments, and this is going to sound like a really great idea, but it's something that you're just going to kind of put on the back burner. So is it okay if I make you an offer that will help you implement this faster? So again, going to PPOguide.com, if you /go, you can schedule a free 30-minute consultation with us. And again, this is just educating you. That's what we help educate based on your actual situation. But then it's also making sure that you're a fit. We're not going to take your money or bring you on as a client if we don't think that we can help you. So we're going to review with you what contracts you're on. So we want you to come into that call with a good idea. If you don't know if you're the doctor, make sure your office manager is on that call. That's always the best call, honestly, is when we have the insurance coordinator, office manager, whatever, and the owner doctor on the call, or if all the doctors want to be on the call. That's the most helpful. And then we can use that tool to calculate your ROI depending on what your production is, and then what PPOs you are in network with. And we'll decide which service is best suited for you. We have a few different services here. So based on information that we talk about in the call, we're going to figure out what's best for you. So today on the webinar, if you go to ppguide.com, you're also going to get these bonuses. We're going to give you that list of PPO provider relations, phone numbers, prompts, email, that sort of thing for all the major PPOs, and state by state Blue Cross Blue Shield. We're also going to give you this e-guide, and it's 35 common insurance problems and how to avoid them. This basically comes out of us years and years helping hundreds of practices and the common questions that we get, so that we have easy, straightforward explanations and answers to those common questions. We're also going to give you this tool, this spreadsheet, so that you know where to plug in your UCRs and your top codes, and then include, all the different PPOs that you're with and what you're getting on those codes. So let's recap what you're going to get. We're going to evaluate if you're a good fit for us and your ROI projection. We're going to go over common insurance problems. You're going to get that information, and also our master list for provider relations, that spreadsheet. And all of that is going to be free if you just go to ppo.com and then /call to set up a consultation. So /go gets you all those free, these free things, and /call, or you can go straight to our website and schedule a free consultation with us. So again, downloading that guide, ppoguide.com. For the bonus material, use the /go before .com. And for the free guide, and then call to schedule a call with us. So that's all I have. So it looks like we still have about 20 minutes for questions, Adam.
Awesome. We've got lots of them. One came in relatively early after you covered the umbrella. So it was asking if you can quickly repeat the umbrella companies.
So that is Zealous, which used to be Stratos, and they bought out Mavrist. They also used to be called Coalition of America. So sometimes when you're calling insurance and you say, how am I a network? They might tell you any one of those names. So it can get really confusing. But at the end of the day, all of those trickle into Zealous. So that is, again, if they tell you Stratos, Mavrist, any of those, that's really just Zealous. And then you have Carrington, that's an umbrella company, Dentamax. In some states, you have Premier Dental Group. In the West, you have a few states that have First Dental Health. Those are all your major network. Oh, and Connection. Connection is a big umbrella. So those are the main network umbrella companies that have a large network underneath of them of multiple PPOs.
If we are in network through a PPO, but then also have an umbrella, which fees would we go based on?
It depends. So Emeritus, I know they don't care if you have a direct contract with them. They want to access you the cheapest way they can, which is usually through United Concordia. So just because you have an Emeritus fee schedule, that doesn't mean you're getting paid on it. So that's where you can go to your EOB and see for sure if you're getting paid that fee schedule amount, or your United Concordia fees, or Dentamax fees, or principal fees. It'll tell you on the EOB, and it will match up to that other fee schedule. For now, all others, that direct contract is primary. Emeritus is the only one right now that I'm aware of that doesn't matter if you have that direct. They're still going to go shopping for the cheapest way to access you. But for now, and I see that changing, for now, direct contracts, you can count on that being primary to any other relationship where they might be able to also access you.
Do you have a list of PPO to PPO leasing companies?
We don't have a published one. We have one internally that we work off of because it changes all the time and it varies state by state and even region by region. For instance, Guardian isn't leased through Carrington in certain parts of Texas and Colorado. So, and that's an umbrella situation, but there's a lot of nuance to it. So it's not something that's published because it's different in every state, region, and then even PPO by PPO, depending on the patient base that is included in that networking relationship. But we don't have a published list and it changes all the time. Good question, though.
Let's see. Does this work for direct contract with Delta in a small state like Maine?
No, unfortunately, we always are very straightforward. Delta is Delta is Delta. It's pretty few and far between that they are willing to deviate from their zip code based fee schedules. Now that's PPO. Premier is handled differently in every state. Here in Arizona, we don't have PPO and Premier. We have exclusive and we have everybody else. So if I'm a dentist and I want decent fees from Delta, I have to go exclusive, which means I agree not to be in network with any other PPOs. I have to be only Delta. And then in some states like California, the Premier fees are based on your UCR, and you can submit those, do a fee filing every 12 months to try and adjust your Premier fee. In some states, it's a set fee schedule, just like it is with PPO. So between the two, it varies. But at this point in time, Delta almost never negotiates and they don't lease to or from any other companies.
Just a general question that asks, what if we're out of network?
If you're out of network, then this isn't for you because there's nothing to negotiate. Unless you are considering going in network with some PPOs, then call us for a consultation because we do have a product called a flashlight where we negotiate offers on your behalf and show you options for how to go in network. So let's say you are fee for service, but you're feeling like you're needing to grow your practice, you're losing patients, and you have a large Cigna base in your area, then we can help you understand what your options are for going in network with Cigna that can avoid other PPOs if that's not what you want and just focus on Cigna and what your best options there. But if you're not in network with PPOs, there is no contract to negotiate.
All right, so I got a lot more questions, a lot of questions coming in asking if this is recorded. Yes, we are recording this, so you will see a recording within the next week. If Unitas negotiates for us, is that a one-time fee or is it a fee forever?
No, so our contract is for 12 months, and that usually is enough time for us to work through the basics of negotiations and optimization. What we often find, though, is a practice might be a little leery of trying optimization. So they might say, okay, we're going to try it with Guardian and see how that goes. And then they figure out how to navigate that, and that wasn't so bad, and we're comfortable with that. So now we're going to optimize MetLife. And so if that extends the contract past 12 months, we're not going to leave you high and dry. We're going to work with you for as long as you need our help. And so after the first 12 months, it just goes month to month after that. So the cost is $4.99 a month. That's one location, one provider, and then there's additional fees for additional providers, additional locations.
Can you tell us again what is PPO optimization and how does it compare?
Yeah, optimization just means we're going to move how you are in network from one option to something that pays more. So in using that example of Aetna leases their providers to Guardian, Principal, and Emeritus, let's say we're analyzing Emeritus for you. We're going to show you this is Emeritus on a direct contract. This is emeritus under Aetna. This is emeritus under Connection. And this is emeritus under Principal. If those are the highest options that we have based on contracts that you're on, we're going to show you in a spreadsheet similar to what we send you in the PPO guide. We're going to send you analysis showing you comparisons. And so we're going to show you, these are the benefits of being in network on a direct contract. It's a lot more straightforward. It's probably not ever going to shift. You're in the directory. There's all these pros to it. But we're also going to show you, you know what, maybe you're getting emeritus under United Concordia and moving them to a different PPO, or optimizing by blocking you from United Concordia and moving you to something else. That can be a 20% increase easily, because United Concordia tends to be one of the lowest paying fee schedules. And so we don't want anything falling under that. So optimization just means we're going to take a look at PPO by PPO so that you understand what your options are for participation. Maybe a direct contract is the best fee-wise, and that's great. Then there's no optimization to be done. But maybe participating or being in network with that PPO through a third party, or maybe you already are through a third party, but it's just not good, like United Concordia, then we know how to put all those opt-outs or blocks in place. So it's kind of like Plinko and The Price is Right, where it's dropping down. We want it to fall into one slot. So if we want it to fall in one slot, we've got to block all the other slots that it can fall into. And that's where it becomes really difficult for offices to do this on your own, because you don't know. You think, oh, I'm blocking them from United Concordia, and that's great, but you might just be shifting it to the next lowest thing, when really there's something 3 tiers above that for you to move it to.
Is there a difference in our negotiating positions between different insurance companies?
I'm not sure what that question's asking.
For example, how easy is it to negotiate with a big carrier like Delta?
Again, Delta does not negotiate. We urge you to do that, to try, because we want them to have to take the time to say no. And nothing is ever going to change if we don't ask. We're actually just starting to see that with MetLife. For years, MetLife was a door slammer like Delta, but we're starting to see in some situations with persistence where MetLife is actually giving a little bit on their fee schedules. So we always urge you to spend the time to do that and push back and complain and say, this is half. This is half of what my cost is. You guys are paying me half. I'm having to write off half. My lab fees are this. Just trying to find a hygienist is costing me way more now, and PPE and all this kind of stuff. These fees do not sustain my cost of doing business. And so while in the immediate scope of things, it might seem like it's a futile effort, again, we're never going to see change if there isn't just constant pushback to Delta about their fees. But Delta does not negotiate. Again, Premier is state by state. So if you are a Premier only provider, there might be some leverage there in just a fee filing, not necessarily negotiations. But if they do base it off of your UCR, I know in Oregon, it's this ridiculous system that's kind of like a guessing game where you get 6 chances to just kind of bid for a fee and hope that you make it in the right price range in order to get more. So like I said, every state's Delta Premier is different, but don't come into the game thinking that you're going to get anywhere other than if this is the cumulative effort and everybody is knocking on Delta's door and is unhappy and protesting those fees, that's the only way we're ever going to see change.
I'm a GP in California, currently in network with some major plans. If I start seeing patients in 2 physical locations in the same city, but would like to stay out of network at the second location, is it a wiser choice to apply for a different tax ID for that second location?
I would, just because you don't have to, but insurance companies really struggle with multiple anything. And it's really easy for them to make mistakes in this area and throw a tin in network, even if one location hasn't ever contracted. So if it was me knowing what I know, and just to avoid having to clean up their mistakes, I would do it under a different tax ID number and keep one in network and one out of network.
You also help startup practices to decide which insurances to go in network with and to negotiate initial contracts.
Yes, you're our favorite. I'll just be honest, because we have a clean slate. We love helping new doctors get started because you're just starting fresh, and we want you to win this game of PPOs. A lot of practices just come to us how you come to us, and so we try and clean up and work with what we've got. But with a new practice, we can just lay it out. We've got pretty much a template of knowing if you've got you want to come to us early, like I'm talking months before you open, so that we can negotiate on your behalf, help you set your office fees, good, healthy fees, negotiate proposals on your behalf, and make recommendations on how to be in network. And then bonus, we do all the credentialing for you. Fill out applications and send them in and get them sent back to you and have them change the fee schedule on you or get stuck on something for 2 years. So if you call for a consultation, we can give you more information, but that is our practice start service. It is a little bit more, and it's 12 months, but it's a service that easily pays for itself, and making sure that you aren't taken advantage of by the PPOs when you're opening up a new practice.
I've been told over time that the zip code gives different prices. For example, if you're in the main state capital, they pay more. Is that correct?
For those PPOs that do zip code based fee schedules, it is going to vary by whatever they've, done the math and decided that these are the fees for this area. They all have a different formula or use Fair Health supposedly, or all kinds of different data, but the fees are set by zip code only really just to make it easier for them, for their recruiting, to know that these are fee schedules that are assigned to this area. Obviously, a zip code in San Francisco is going to be different from the zip code in Wyoming as far as what kind of range they have to offer. And then there are the PPOs like MetLife, Delta PPO, United Concordia, where they are standard for a zip code or an area. So, everybody in that area is on the same fee schedule.
All right. So as an example, if someone pays in the downtown location $115, but for the same procedure 30 miles away pays $85, is that something that would be negotiated?
It just depends, because it depends on what insurance company we're talking about. If the one that is on $85, maybe that's Cigna, and they've been on that fee schedule for 10 years because they've never asked for anything more. So it just depends on the PPO, and it depends on how that doctor initially contracted, of why that variance is. And some of it is it's just higher in a metro area and lower in a more rural area too. There's a lot of different factors in why there would be a variance in those fee schedules.
I've heard that a lot of insurance companies are paying less to younger, more recently graduated dentists compared to older dentists. Is this true? And are you finding this to be a challenge with negotiating for newer dentists?
I don't think that's true. I think there are so many different variables in why a dentist is on the fee schedule that they're on. Several years ago, United Healthcare came in here and they really needed new providers. So they were offering rock star fee schedules like San Francisco, Manhattan fee schedules, because they really needed doctors. And so they were authorized to come in with this, fantastic fee schedule for a short amount of time to recruit providers. Well, that's great, but those providers are never going to get anything more than what they've already gotten because they were offered the ceiling and that's it. As a younger doctor, I'll use Cigna as an example, that the opposite is true, because if you come in with a brand new practice, and younger, older, whatever, brand new practice, you're going to get a 2021 fee schedule from Cigna. Whereas you might have the doctor across the street that's been on his fee schedule for 10 years, again, and never negotiated. So he's on a 10-year-old fee schedule because he never asked for more. So it really doesn't have to do with newer as much as they're going to give you the lowest that they can. So again, that's why if you're starting a new practice, you want help so that you know which PPOs you can negotiate with and don't just take their off the street offer. But it's not really about younger dentist or new practice. It just can vary by PPO and how dentists who are already contracted got on that fee schedule in the first place. Because again, if they were part of a recruitment push, then and they got a rockstar fee schedule that was offered for a limited amount of time, that could just have been a 6-month window that isn't really an option anymore. So it really just kind of varies for a lot of different reasons why a dentist is offered the fee schedule that they are.
Let's see. Still got a lot of questions to come through here. How can we increase the participation in more PPOs for the practice?
Increase? Well, that's a good thing we can help you with too, because what we do in that initial analysis is figure out how you come to us. How are your doctors already in network? And on that call, we can determine, are you already with enough that we start with that and then negotiate offers and show you your options? And again, do all that credentialing for you. Or if you're completely fee for service, wanting to add PPOs, our flashlight is a really good option because it's just exploring. You're not signing up with anything. There's no obligation. We're not here to push PPOs on anyone. We just want you to be educated so that if you are considering going in network, that you're not taken advantage of by the insurance companies and you're not agreeing to something that is lower than that. There's a lot greater potential, either with that same company or with a third party.
When in network, do you have to present or give the allowable fee on a non-cover service?
So that varies by state. That's something that we help you with too. If you sign up for our services, we do an analysis of what your office fee is, and that comes with a nationwide map that's color coded. So if your state has passed legislation that says they can't dictate, which now most states have, East Coast, Upper Midwest, you still have a ways to go. But most other states have passed legislation where they can't dictate what you charge for a non-covered code.
What are the easiest companies to negotiate with?
It varies and the pendulum kind of swings. So I'll tell you the ones that typically don't. Delta, MetLife, like I said, we're seeing that door open a little bit, but they are pretty steady in. It's our zip code based fee schedule, take it or leave it. United Concordia, kind of the same, where it's pretty standardized fee schedules that sometimes we see a variance on, sometimes we don't. And then it depends on your state anthem and Blue Cross Blue Shield. Some negotiate and some don't.
Let's see. Someone's sound went off when you were mentioning your cost for services. Could you repeat that for 12 months?
So our PPO management service, and that's so if you're an existing practice, you've been open for more than 2 years, and you're with a bunch of PPOs, that starts at $4.99 a month. There is a discount if you pay it in full, but that includes one provider, one location, and then it goes up from there by provider. And it doesn't matter if you're GP, perio, endo, ortho, whatever. We help all specialties.
Okay. What about ortho? Does it work the same way when negotiating?
No, but we can still help you understand your options with ortho because with third parties, sometimes ortho is excluded, or ortho is super complicated just because every insurance company structures it different on their fee schedule. So there's still potential there. And if you're going to do it on your own, still try and negotiate any of your direct contracts. But if you want to take the deep dive into negotiating and optimizing, then we can help you understand what your options are. But with ortho, it is a little more limited because some third parties, like MetLife, won't pick up under Carrington for specialists. For an ortho. For specialists, yes, but for ortho, no. And then some, it depends on the state. So that would be a good one for you to call and have a consultation with us about.
And how much is the flashlight service that you mentioned?
The flashlight is $2,499. So that is, again, doesn't include signing you up for anything, pushing PPOs on you. It's just a look-see. We want you to know what your options are. And so it's a pretty in-depth report. Again, doing a review of your office fees, We find that sometimes fee-for-service practices have lower fees, which is fine if that's working for you. But if you're considering joining PPOs and being a PPO practice, then you might want to consider raising those fees, because the higher the fee, the higher the offer from insurance companies. And then it's an in-depth report breaking down for you what your options are. So let's say your goal is to become in network with Aetna, then it's going to break down for you. Here's direct, here's through third parties, how long it takes, which Aetna patients you get, and all of that, so that you have a really good understanding of what your options are. And then whatever you decide to implement, you can hire us to help with that, or do it on your own, or just say, no, thanks. I just wanted to know, and now I know, and I'm just going to keep doing the fee-for-service thing and putting that money towards marketing or something.
I hope I am reading this correctly, but it says, how do I get a lot of PPO, I assume professional relations phone numbers?
So in that guide, if you go to ppoguide.com, so you get this master list from us of all the provider relations phone numbers. And that's at ppoguide.com/go.
Cool. I think we managed to get through everything. I think.
Hey, all right.
If I did not get to one of your questions and I missed it, I apologize, but please feel free to email info@unitasdental.com. Tonight's webinar was recorded. So again, everyone will get the recording within 1 week of tonight. Christi, thank you very much. Sorry, everyone, for the brief little scare at the beginning. Glad we got it figured out.
Yeah, thanks for sticking with us, everyone. It was a pleasure. I enjoy educating people on this with no obligation whatsoever, but we're here to help. So again, the best thing to do is just schedule a free consultation with us and see if it's something we can help you with. But at a minimum, do something. Either you're trying this on your own, follow these steps, or look to a third party to help you get more for the work that you're already doing.
Great. Thanks, everyone. Have a good night.
Thanks. Good night.